Let's try. We usually have this 80-year-old girl who does it so well.
Yeah,
She,
yeah,
she
I've
puts
heard
us,
it a few times.
Puts that to shame,
she
yeah.
puts us to shame. Anyway, let's try. Shri
Shri
Bhagwan
Bhagwan
Uvacha
Uvacha
Udavam
Udavam
Mulam Vada
Shakam
Ashwatam
Ashwatam
Prahu
Prahu
Avyayam
Avyayam
Chandansi
Chandansi
Yasya
Yasya Paranani
Parnani Yastam Veda
Vede
Saveda Ved.
Saveda.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
Adashodram
Adashodam
Prashitastasya
Vashistasya
Sakha Guna
Guna
Pravida
Pravida
Vishaya
Vishaya
Pravala
Pravala
Adashtamulani
Adashtamulani
Anushantani
Anushantani
Karmanubandini
Karmanubandini Manushya
Manushya.
The branches of this tree extend downwards and upwards, nourished by these three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. The tree also has its roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society.
Narupa
Narupamayeya
Masheya
Tatopalabhyate
Tatopalabhyate Nanto
Nanto
Nachadi
Nachadi
Nacha
Nacha Sampastata
Sampristata Ashwatam Enam
Ashwatthamayenam
Suviruddha
Suviruddha
Mulam
Mulam
Asanga
Asanga
Shastrena
Shastrena
Drideni
Dridena
Chitva
Va
Tatha Padam
Tapatam
Tat
Vatsapritavam
Parimargitvam Yasmin
Yasmin
Gatana
Yatavram
Nirvartanti
Vivartanti
Bhuya
Guya
Tam
Tam
Eva
Eva
Chatyam
Chayam
Purusham
Purusham
Prapadye
Papadye
Yatha
Yatha
Pravita
Pravita
Prashita
Prashita Purani.
Purani.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that supreme personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has entered, has extended since time immemorial.
Nirmamo
Nirmamo
Chita
Tita
Sanga
Sangadosha
Dosha Adhyatma
Adhyatma
Nitya
Nitya
Vinivrita
Vinivrite Kama
Kama Dvande
Dvande
Vimukta
Vimukta
Sukha
Sukha
Dukha
Dukha
Sanche
Sanye
Gachanti
Janti
Amuda
Amuda
Padam
Padam
Avyayam
Avyayam Tat.
Tat.
Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Natad
Natadvachyate
Vasate
Suryo
Suryo
Nasa Shanko
Nashankako
na Pavaka
Bhavaka
Yat
Yat
Gatva na
Gatva
Nirvatante
Navirvantante
Tadhama
Tadhama
Paramam
Paramam
Mama.
Mama.
The supreme abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world.
Mamaiva
Mamaivansho
Shojiva
Deva
Loke
Loke
Jiva
Jiva
Bhutva
Bhutva Sanatana
Sanatana
Manashashtani
Manashashtayendriyani
Indriyani
Prakati
Prakati
Stani
Stani Kashati.
Kashati.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental part. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Shariram
Shariram
Yad
Yad
Apnoti
Apnoti
Yachapi
Yachapi
Utak
Utaka
Vishwara
Matesvara Priyati
Vihatvainani
Varitani
Sanyanti
Sanyati
Vayu
Vayu
Gandham
Sandam Vishashita.
Nivashya.
The living entity in the material world carries its different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another.
Shotram
Shotam Chakshusparsam Cha
Samprashamcha
Rasanam
Rasanam
Grihanam
Grahanam
Evacha
Evacha Adhisthaya
Adhistyaya
Manashachayam
Manashachayam Vishaya
Vishaya Upasevate.
Upasevate.
The living entity, thus, taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. he thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Utkramantam
Tam
vapi
vapi punjana vaguna vitam vimudana pashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshusha.
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this.
Yatanta yoginas chainam pashyanti atmani avishtitam yatanto api akritatmano nainam pashyanti yachetashah.
The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try.
Yat atityagatam tejo jagat pasayate akhilam yat chandramasi yat chagno tat tejo vidhi mamakam.
The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire also come from me.
Gam avishya chabhutani darayami aham ojasa pushnani chodashadi sarva soma bhutara shatmaka.
I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
Aham Vaishnavaro Bhutva Praninam Devan Ashrita Panapana Samayukta Pachami Anam Chaturvidam.
I'm the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuffs.
Sarvasya cha
Samhiti Sanvisto Matasmriti Jnanapahan Cha Vedesya Sarve Aham Eva Vedyo Vedanti Krit Vedavid Eva Chaham.
I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I'm to be known. Indeed, I'm the compiler of Vedanta, and I'm the knower of the Vedas.
Vahimam Purusho Loke Shara Eva Cha Shara Sarvani Bhutani Kutostu Akshara Ujjate.
There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible.
Uttama Purushastanya Parameti Udraita Yalokataya Vishya Vivati Avyaya Ishvara.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them.
Yashmat Sharam Atitoham Aksharad Api Chotama Atosmi Loke Vedecha Patita Purushotama.
Because I'm transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I'm the greatest, I'm celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person.
Yomam evam amasumudo janati purushottamam sasarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata.
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharat.
Iti guyatamam shastram idam uktam mayagna etad budva buddhinam syat krita krityasya bharata.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. O sinless one, it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
Jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, 15th chapter ki jai. Thank you so much, Sam. Very, very good. So now, George has joined us. Thank you so much, George. welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you
Thank you.
for having me.
Anant Vijay hasn't joined us yet. He said he's traveling down from somewhere quite far, but he said he should be joining us. But anyway, we can start. I think, I mean, last time we were basically sort of interacting with you in terms of explaining a little bit about the philosophy that we are following. And I think you asked a question at the end that to explain this philosophy in a nutshell, what it's all about, something like that. Was that right?
Yeah.
Was that because you just wanted to have a brief understanding, not that you want to convert to it?
I was just asking about why is it that one have to stop doing a lot of things just to be part of Hare Krishna?
Oh, yeah, right. I thought that question you'd asked and Anant Vijay had replied that, but we can go into that. Why do we have to stop so many things in order to progress in this particular path? Is that the question?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, to be honest, we take on a lot more fun than give up. When we take to this path, it's almost like a natural path for the soul. It's something that comes quite naturally once we understand our position as the soul and we understand the position of the Lord as a supreme soul. When we enter into this path, because we are connected to the supreme soul, because we're part and parcel of him, it almost becomes like a natural flow, and we're not necessarily giving up anything that is stopping us having pleasure. So we're not giving up anything that will make us miserable. Let's put it that way. In the Bhagavad Gita, in one of the verses, it says, these are the regulative principles of freedom. Sometimes we think, oh, you know, this person has stopped drinking. This person has stopped going to discos. This person has stopped drinking, having drugs.
Smoking.
This person has stopped gambling. This person has stopped eating meat, fish, eggs. And my goodness, where does he have the fun? There's no joy in life for this person. Sometimes that's the attitude. How much joy is there in eating? How much joy is there in drinking? Great. You have great time. You drink once, you drink 2 glasses, 3 glasses, suddenly you are on the floor, sick. So is that
Fun.
Yeah, is that fun? Is that the definition of enjoyment, being on the floor, sick? So,
No.
exactly. In terms of smoking, we don't smoke, for example. Well, if you read the packet of the cigarette, I haven't read one for a very long time, but I did see one the other day. It's got this huge advert on it saying, God's sake, don't smoke. You're gonna die. You're gonna have cancer. You're gonna get cancer. And we still go to a shop, buy the packet, open it up, light the cigarette, and we're thinking, oh, we're having fun. Okay, that's the definition of fun. Dying of cancer doesn't make sense. Take another aspect, gambling. We don't gamble. So somebody goes to the casino, or nowadays it's all online. We gamble and we lose a whole lot of money. Okay, so there's fun in losing money. Is that one of the definitions of enjoyment?
all these things you're saying, I can't identify myself to it. Why? Because I don't gamble, I don't drink, and I don't smoke. But
So,
then,
very good. What are the other things which we do, which we don't do, which you are concerned about?
like you said, eating.
Okay.
Eating fish,
Yes.
eating meat, and sometimes taking red wine in between. And I'm not a drunkard. I don't enjoy drinking or whatever. If you ask my brother, they know me. So in that way, there's a lot of things my brother is doing. For example, even the food he's eating, there shouldn't be there's a lot of restrictions about his food. And I'm thinking, do we really have to go through all these things if we came to this world, one day we'll be gone? And then why all these? That's what I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit doubting what kind of worship is that,
Do you
if I have to say that.
Yes, of course. You have every right to say, because you are genuinely asking.
Genuine concern.
You've got genuine concern. Now, do you see this plate here? Can you see the plate?
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything missing in that plate?
Well, I don't know what is
What the
inside.
items are. Absolutely.
Lots of curries and breads and savories.
This
Sweets.
is a bit of an example of the cuisine that we have our access to. Why would we make ourselves the graveyard of dead animals, dead bodies? That's the question I'd like to ask you. Why would I want to be a graveyard for dead animals? George Bernard Shaw asked that question. He in fact made the comment, I am not a graveyard for dead animals. We don't eat meat. There's a very important reason why we don't eat meat. Why should we cause suffering to another living entity just for the sake of my tongue? It's a question of principle. It's not a question of a lifestyle. It's a question of a principle. If Krishna told us eat meat, we'd eat meat. But he didn't. What he said, Patram pushpam phalam toyam. There's so much I've given you. There's so much. So many different types of vegetables, different types of nuts, where you don't have to cause harm to other living entities. So we rather live our lives in a way where we're not a huge burden on this world, on the animals in this world, on the fish of this world.
Do I have to say something?
No, only if you want to.
Oh, okay. It's because, as I said the other day, I was born to be, I was raised up in a Christian home. And nobody taught me that we shouldn't eat anything like that. But rather, we were being taught that God have given us everything that we have to be, we can enjoy. And then I'll ask, a lot of people will be eating meat and all that, but Hare Krishna chose not to. But then, is it sin for me as a normal person or a Christian that I'm eating meat is a problem? Just to ask.
There is something called the law of karma. Every action has a reaction. If we cause harm to others, then there will be an opposite and equal reaction. This is a natural law. We see it in the world around us. If we break the law, we get punished for it. If we do something nice, we get rewarded for it. So in the same way, if if we're causing harm to other living entities, then it's only natural to expect some retribution in return. If we help another living entity, if we're compassionate to other living entities, then it's only natural that we can expect compassion ourselves. One of the principal basis of this religion is ahimsa paro dharma. Non-violence is the topmost religion. Non-violence more to ourselves than to any other living entity. If we engage in creating difficulties for other living entities, we're actually being violent to ourselves. We're not doing ourselves any favor. We expect compassion. We expect the Lord to give us his sympathy, especially because in this world, we're always going to face
His
difficulties. We expect him to give us his love. But how can we expect that when we don't treat his creation with the same love that he treats it? He loves every living entity in this world, the animals included, the fish included. But if we are using those resources to fill our belly, then we're not sending the right message to the Supreme. We're expecting compassion. But how can we expect compassion when we don't give compassion? I can understand in certain, in Christianity, there is a tradition of eating meat, but I do understand, I'm probably wrong in this, but there is a verse in Genesis, I believe, which says, the Lord says, I have given you all these herbs and trees for your food, for your nourishment. And if we look at our, sorry, go on, Sam.
And it also says, thou shalt not kill. But somehow they've translated it into thou shalt not murder. You know, when you speak to them, they will say to you, oh, it means thou shalt not murder, but you can kill the lower species. But, you know, as with everything, they can, you know, just interpret it to suit their own kind of will, basically.
Yeah, yeah. We know scriptures can be easily misinterpreted according to the motives of the person making the interpretations. Thou shalt not kill includes all animals. Thou shalt not murder. Okay, that has a bit more limited restriction to it, but the karmic reaction can be quite severe as well. And I can give you one example. My wife just reminded me. The cow is regarded very important. You'll see that generally Hindus, they will not eat beef. They might eat other meats, but they will stay well clear of beef, because it's understood that the reaction to having that sort of meat is very, very severe, because she is equivalent to our own mother. When our mother gives birth, she gives us milk. When she stops, then it is recommended that we take cow's milk, because cow's milk can refine the tissues, can give health to the body. And if we eat beef, for example, it's equivalent to killing your own mother. So the reaction for that is very severe, very severe. So hence why you will see Hindus don't eat beef. But actually the killing of any life, all life is sacred.
Okay, that means we're supposed to eat only vegetables and herbs and all that kind of things. Then I'll be asking, is there any life in vegetables?
There is. And I suppose in one sense, every living entity is food for another. But if you look at our physiology, it's that of a herbivorous animal. We can't eat raw meat because we don't have claws. We have very long intestines, whereas the carnivorous animals have very small intestines. The meat goes through their body very quickly. We have been given foods which can, for example, apples and tomatoes. You can pick an apple and you're not harming anything.
Tree.
In fact, you are doing the favor to a tree by picking an apple before it becomes over-ripened and takes away so much of the water from the tree. There are vegetables growing underground, for example, which are like potatoes and lettuce, and we're allowed to eat those. The level of consciousness in that life is very low. You won't hear a cabbage screaming. If you go to see a slaughterhouse, you see the animals in a very distressed condition. You don't even have to go and see a slaughterhouse. You can just YouTube it. It's very, very distressful. They know they're about to be killed and they are screaming. Whereas the level of consciousness for cows, for cabbage and plants is very low level. Yes, you are taking life. And hence, whatever we cook, we offer that to the Supreme Lord in sacrifice. When we cook, we don't taste what we're cooking. We cook it in a clean state with a clean consciousness, happy consciousness, because we feel the consciousness enters the food when we're eating it, when we're cooking it. Once we've cooked that food, we offer that food to the Lord. And our prayer is, my dear Lord, I have cooked this food for you. I want you to enjoy it. This is made for your pleasure. I think you may have a similar concept to that as well. And then once we leave that plate on the altar for a few minutes, and then we bring it back and put it in with the rest. The Lord, simply by looking at it, has blessed that food. It becomes blessed. He's taken the sin away. Otherwise, we are only eating sin if we don't offer it to the Lord. But we try to do it, we try to live our lives with the minimum amount of violence as possible. Nobody can say taking a cucumber from the ground is causing violence. Unless we're wasting it, of course. If we're wasting the resources of the earth, of the Lord, that is violence, no matter what it is. Plants or trees, cutting down of trees so that humanity can enjoy so many luxuries. That's violence. Unnecessarily cutting down trees just to satisfy our greed, our sense enjoyment. If we're doing it as a necessity, because we do have to live. We can't just live on apples, for example. We do need a very varied diet. If you see this plate, there are all different types of foodstuffs in that plate, which give the body complete nourishment, complete protein intake to maintain the body in a very fit state.
Yeah.
Prabhu, can you also explain, because that is something that a lot of people don't understand. Why is it that someone is born Black person, someone is born white, someone is born Chinese, even though when we were coming to the planet, we didn't ask anyone that I want to choose to be a Black person, I didn't choose to be an Indian. And then once people can understand that concept, then they'll be able to understand the reason why they are on this planet.
I suppose similarly, why is somebody born disabled, right? Why is somebody born completely abled? Why is somebody born with incredible talent and others have very little talent, for example, isn't it? Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
Arthur Ashe, you must be remembering Arthur Ashe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The first black player to win Wimbledon. I remember that day very well. He was my hero, actually. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. He had such a big racket. Do you remember him at all?
Yeah. 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 I do. Yeah. Yeah.
His
He
racket,
died of AIDS. He died of AIDS.
right? So
Yeah.
what?
After he was given a bad blood, leukemia.
Yeah. So what happened was, so a journalist asked him, "Are you blaming God for your disease?" And his answer was, "Well, when his answer was this: millions of children want to play tennis. Only a few get the chance to play, to get trained. Out of those, only a few of those who are trained are able to enter a professional circuit. And out of those, only a few are able to play professionally. Out of those, only a few who play professionally can enter tournaments. And only a few are able to play in the majors. And only a few are able to win the major. And I was one of the ones who won the major, but I never complained to God. How come I won a major? So now that I've got a disease, I'm not going to complain to God. How come I've got the disease? Right? So he was a phenomenal personality. Philosophically, he really understood the kindness, the compassion of God. If we are thinking that, I mean, it sort of goes back a little bit to the first answer I gave to Edward some time back about is God a fair person, right? Is he a fair person? Why is somebody born with a disability? Why is somebody born brown, another person born yellow, another person born white, another person born black? Why is it born as a female as opposed to a male? Now, if we agree that God is neutral, he's compassionate, he's not going to be biased, he's not going to say, Sam, I'm going to make you suffer, and Edward, I'm going to make you enjoy. Right? God is not going to be like, he's like our parent. Your parents will not want to discriminate between either of the three brothers. They'll be equal to all three, according to their behavior. Right? If one behaves not so well, then that's a different matter. He will be punished. That's the nature of parenthood, of Godhead. So why do we have a particular circumstance that we are born into? It's because that there's three things that affect it. One is our karma. We believe in karma. So our past actions have given rise to our current position. That's one aspect. Second aspect is our consciousness. What is our level of thinking? According to our level of thinking, we will acquire, like in that 15th chapter, it says, the living entity will get a certain type of sense, a certain arms, certain legs, certain ears, certain eyes. According to our level of our consciousness, we will get a suitable body. God is the perfect tailor. He will give us the perfect body to match our consciousness. If we have the consciousness of a pig, God will give us a body of a pig. Right? That's what we deserve. That's what we want. So karma, consciousness, and our desire. What we want to achieve. God fulfills desires. So if we want to achieve something, God will he will sanction that. It may be something horrible. It may be something great. Whatever it is, he will allow it to take place. So why a certain person is born I was born in Africa, in Nairobi. Why is a certain person born in the UK? Why is a certain person born in America or Afghanistan or Beirut in the middle of the war region? It's because of these three factors: karma, something that they've done in the past to give them the right to be born there, and the consciousness and desires. Those are factors which are taken into account. So it's not something that God is in any way discriminatory. We are the architects of our own success or failure. Yeah, that's a good point. We can give you an example, actually, of a prime minister called Jawaharlal Nehru,
The first prime minister of India.
first prime minister of India. He was obviously well respected in the country because he was the first prime minister. But his karma, his level of consciousness, I'm not sure by his desires, led him.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, he was educated in England, so he had the consciousness of an Englishman, really. So basically, his next birth wasn't in the Western world.
but as a dog. When he died, the astrologers worked out what happened to him, what birth did he take, next birth. They can do that. They can work out exactly where he's taken his birth. And they worked it out. He's become a dog in Sweden. So at one level, he was the prime minister in his next life. Because of his behavior, his consciousness, and his desires, he became a dog in Sweden. Does that answer the question, Sam? Is there something that you want to add to that?
Oh yeah, it does answer the question. Also, one thing that they also normally ask me, why do you worship a tree? I mean, we know it's Tulsi. Why do we worship the deities? You know, and to them,
Why do you wash?
Why do we?
Wash all these things, you clean them with soap and everything, and I really don't understand it. It looks like our own worship from before Christianity. We were having that kind of things we were worshiping with idols. And
Kwabena, I know where you are coming from.
yeah.
I mean, in the African tradition, we used to have deities. We used to have all of this. Even tilak, we used to have tilak, which we call it a shre, you know, which we used to put it around our bodies. Wow. You know, but when the Western people came, they said to us, it's all paganism. You should throw away all your deities. So they banned the deities, you know, they stopped a lot of the traditions that we used to have. But like now, knowing what I know now, I know we were very, very close to Sanantam Dam.
Acha, okay. That's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
It's because you didn't really know what you were doing, so that you gave it up.
We didn't know what we were doing, but it was forced upon us to throw away all the deities that we used to worship. Yeah. You know, but luckily India was so vast. So even when they came there and they tried to do the same thing, some of them kept the deities. Even recently, some of the deities were retrieved from rivers and that sort of thing from India. You know, but in Africa, they were really, you know, there, and they stopped us. They took everything away, even the tradition, the way we dress up, everything was taken away.
I know, because there's so many similarities between your traditions and India's as well. I mean, if you look at like vegetarianism in India, a lot of the youngsters didn't know why one is vegetarian. So again, when McDonald's came into the country, they looked at the West and they wanted to follow the West. So they gave up vegetarianism, started eating meat, because they didn't really know why they were vegetarians. They didn't study the books. I think in Africa, you didn't have enough literature to back up your beliefs and traditions.
Yeah, it was all oral tradition, and then it was transferred from the elders to the youngsters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we didn't have it in written form.
Yeah. Whereas in India, you had that in written form. So that's why it's still prevalent there, even though some of the youngsters have gone away from that, but now they're coming back, with the help of ISKCON as well.
Okay, Mataji, can we explain to them, why we worship Tosin, why we worship the deity?
Yeah, of course. Go on.
Yeah, good question,
Yeah.
by the way.
Before then,
Yes, yes.
Prabhu, we have some few minutes to chip in on your earlier submission. With Christianity, one thing is very clear. According to you, if you read the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, the Bible says that God's ways are not our ways, neither his thoughts our thoughts. So,
very clear.
to whether
The connection is very bad.
Yeah, connection is not very clear.
yes, unfortunately today it's been raining all day, so our network is quite poor today. So I don't know. Let me shift a little bit.
Okay.
And see if you can hear me.
Last time
very clear.
2 weeks ago, you were enjoying in the sun.
Yes. I was sitting under the tree.
Yes.
Fortunately, I am still sitting. I was sitting under the tree, but it looks like today the network is not very favorable.
Yeah.
Is it okay now? Can you hear me?
Just say a few words.
Can you hear me now?
It's still,
it's still very bad.
Yeah, it's still quite bad.
Is it okay now?
No, it's worse.
No.
It's worse. So that means I have to move from under the tree. Today the tree is not helping. The tree is not helping. So let me go somewhere else and see what happens.
Where about
is
in front
it
of the
okay
house?
now?
Perhaps
I'm walking around the house to see. Is it okay now?
Yeah, a little better.
Yes.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this was my submission. According to the Bible, according to Isaiah chapter 55, the Bible says that God's ways are not our ways, neither his thoughts our thoughts. So as to whether if someone was born blind, if someone was born green, if someone was born white, is it not contradictory for us to go, asking questions? God, why did you create me to be white? Why did you create me to be black? Why did you create me to be blind?
Yes.
And all these sort of things. It's so contradictory and sometimes it's so confusing. So when I see people arguing about such things, personally, I get a little bit, what is the right word? I get a little bit agitated.
Yeah.
Because the reasons are quite simple. Who am I? Who am I as an ordinary human being? Who am I to look at my fellow human being and say, look, or judge my fellow human being? Is it probably because of what you did in your past and this and that? That is why you're probably into this situation that you felt. Probably
we lost you again.
One thing we also need to understand.
We've lost
You
you.
lost me.
Yeah, I think
Damn.
you should allow us to respond to that, and then you can come back in later because the signal is not really good.
All right.
But you're
I'll chip in later.
right.
Yes.
What
So
you
go ahead.
Judge.
What you've said is
It's
absolutely.
unfortunate the network is not favorable today.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Probably, so you can. Yes, you
So
I can hear you.
You're
I can
right.
hear you loud and clear.
What you said is correct. What you said is correct. Who are we to judge God's decisions? No one. We're no one. So, but we also have to understand that God, he loves us more than we can ever understand. Not just you, not just Sam. He loves everyone. He loves the terrorists. He loves the animals. He loves the fishes. He loves everything in his creation without being discriminatory against anyone, right? That's his position. If he didn't do that, he's not God. That's his position, that he has to love everything in his creation because it's his. It's part and parcel of him. If he doesn't love any of his creation, that means he doesn't love himself. But God is the ultimate enjoyer. He is the one who ultimately loves everything anyway. So we don't have a right to judge anyone. I remember Glenn Hoddle was the England soccer manager.
Yeah.
And at one point he said that some people are not very talented because in their past life, because of karma. And he was vilified for
Yeah.
saying that, right? He actually had to resign from his job. What he said was true. We are the cause of our own sufferings. This is the point. If we take responsibility, we don't point fingers, especially at God. God, why did this happen to me? Well, if we take responsibility that I am the cause of my own situation, then we don't get into the question of why God is discriminating against me, because he doesn't. Right? So whatever's happening to us, if we understand it as a mercy of the Lord, and whatever's happening to us, if we understand that God has our interest at heart, then we'll never go wrong. We'll never question God. Because whatever happens to us, we'll understand this is the mercy of the Lord. And I thank you, my Lord. Even if it's something horrible happens to us, I thank you, my Lord, because I know you will not do anything to me against my interest, because you love me. Simple as that.
To add to it, one thing that people should understand as well, once we know exactly our constitutional position, then it stops us from even thinking about reason why someone is blind, reason why someone is poor, reason why someone is so beautiful, someone is rich. Everything in material world, if we really understand the vanity of it, then all these questions wouldn't even arise in the first place.
Yes, good point.
Because we don't belong to this planet. We don't.
Space.
We are only here like we've been put into prison. So whatever happens to us in this prison material world, it really doesn't matter, if you have a little higher consciousness and a little understanding. Once you understand the relationship between ourselves, why we are in this on this planet, where we came from, our relationship with the Lord, and how we are spiritual, all these things become so irrelevant. But people don't know.
See, Sam, you're very privileged because you've got a phenomenal attitude towards spirituality, and you've got a great amount of knowledge and information, and you've actually put it into practice into your life. So it's not just knowledge, it's become wisdom. But not many people have that. And, sometimes we just have to accept that people are not going to understand us. They're not going to understand us. And what do we do in those situations? We just have to pray to the Lord. My dear Lord, you're in control, you're in charge. Whatever you want, you can treat me like your puppet. Whatever you want me to do, just let me not forget you. That's the only prayer I have. Let me not forget you. So people will not understand the way we are.
Yeah, that's the place I'm a little bit. If I have to say, I have my doubts. What Sam was saying. I don't see the reason why God will create me, send me here on earth, and then it's like I'm nothing here, then why he bother himself to send me here? If that's what we have to say.
Fantastic question.
And then I don't really understand it. Why should I come if he is thinking it's Passover?
He didn't send us. We chose to come. It's our choice. This world is here because we want it, not because he wants it. He's our father and mother. The father and mother never want the children to leave because they love the children. But if the children want to leave, if they're saying to the father, I want to go, the father will not stop them either, because they also need to learn how to live away from the father, because he's given free will. He hasn't sent us here. We've bought a one-way ticket. He comes often to our world to remind us of his world, where we actually belong. Like he came as Jesus Christ, okay, to recall us, reclaim us. We've forgotten, like Sam is saying, we've forgotten our constitutional position. He comes and wakes us up, shakes us up. Come on. He's like, if, for example, Steve Jobs, oh no, forget that. Who's Bill Gates? Bill Gates has a couple of children, maybe 4 children. If one of those children you saw on the street and you recognize that child has got amnesia, is lost, you would go up to that child and perhaps say, hey, I know your father. And you are begging because you've forgotten your father. You're begging for some food. But I know your father. Your father is the richest man in the world. Come on, I'll take you to him. Right? That's our position. Jesus Christ comes here. I know your father. He wants you back. He's trying to wake us up, shake us up. But we are so conditioned in the way we are thinking. We just want to be separate from God. So he will also allow that because he's given us free will. Love cannot be forced. You can't say to the child, no, you're going to stay with me forever. I don't care whether you like it or you don't like it. Because that would actually not be free will. That would be slavery and force. And God is not a master who doesn't care for his children's wishes and desires. So he creates a world like this, which is perfectly imperfect. No matter how much we try to enjoy, no matter how much money we have in this world, no matter how many houses or cars, wives, children, wonderful relatives, there's something called death, which destroys every single thing. And you start all over again. Like I say in schools, you start wearing nappies, you start learning how to wear nappies all over again. So we have a motto, no more nappies. We don't learn how to wear nappies anymore. We want to go back to the spiritual world, to the Supreme Lord, and we'll take whatever it needs to get there. Yeah. In the mood of service. So sometimes the sacrifice is required. Yes. So Sam, he doesn't eat meat, fish, or eggs. That actually is not a question of religion. That's just plain living, I would say. Forget religion about meat, fish, or eggs. That religion doesn't even come into play there. If you want your health to be sustained, you have to have a vegetarian diet. If you want to care for the environment, you have to have a vegetarian diet. If you want to care for your bank balance in the future, you have to have a vegetarian diet. A meat diet is just not sustainable for this world, right? So forget about religion. Religion doesn't even come into the question there. But if, for example, Sam may fast every 2 weeks, eat nothing at all, a whole day and all night. So yes, he's depriving himself. Why is he doing that? Because he wants to please the Supreme Lord. He wants to go back to the Supreme Lord. He wants to increase his consciousness of the Supreme Lord. And only by doing that can one make slow progress to become again fully God conscious. That's all we're trying to do. What the Christians are trying to do, we're trying to do, become God conscious. What the Muslims are trying to do, we're trying to do, become God conscious. There's no difference.
24/7.
Might be just a little difference in the practice.
But anyway, one thing I would say is my brothers or my family, you know, they are the best of people that anyone will want them to be part of you or part of your family. You know, I mean, like they've got all the qualities of very good human. They have it all. The only thing, you know, and sometimes I look at them and I thought, goodness me, these people are so good, very kind, everything, you know, they'll do anything for you. You know, they're so good people. And you wonder that, you know, with all this goodness, that little thing that is missing, you know, if that can be channeled into, you know, God consciousness, you know, especially the path, the little path that we are trying to pay for ourselves, if they can have a little bit of it, because there's no way that I want them to follow what I'm following. No, you know, but even if they can have a little understanding of that, these people will be very elevated because they are so kind. Remember, my brother was just telling you they don't smoke, they don't drink, a lot of silly things in this material life. They don't really engage themselves into it. And even my younger brother, Edward, he is a pastor.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, I
yeah,
know.
he's got his
Very good.
own church. You know, so you can imagine, you know, so they've got all these attributes, you know, but sometimes I feel, ooh, from what I know, where I stand, I wish they would have that little knowledge, you know, because I can't force anyone to do exactly what I do, because the austerity that I practice, not everyone can actually do that. You know, but the little that they can, and that's why I bother myself all the time, you know, trying to help her, giving you a bit of grief all the time. Oh, Prabhu, can we have this, you know?
It's no grief. The thing is, everybody has their free will. God has given everybody the free will. And we can't force our opinion on anybody. And all you can do is by our own behavior and our own practice, firstly, convince ourselves. And when we do that, we're 100% fixed up. We will see Krishna's acting through everybody, you know, and including you. I mean, your brothers are, as you said, they're phenomenal. We've now had 3 or 4 sessions with them. And they're really amazing people, as you said. But if they don't accept or understand, that's okay as well. That's okay. I know your intentions because you love them very much. So you want them to try to see what you're doing and maybe not take it up, as you said. No need for that. But just give a little bit of, have a little bit of understanding of what Sam is doing. And actually, Sam, you know what, Sam? My blessings are with you. That would mean a lot to you. That would mean a lot.
Indeed.
Yeah. A big smile from George.
Anyway, I think I start to just realize that Sam is really into that worship. But in my world, there's a lot of things I have to know and have to experience, because when I look at sometimes I'm thinking I can wake up in the morning 3 o'clock to do Hare Krishna to maybe 6 o'clock before I go to work. I don't know how he does that, but I can never do that. That one for sure. For me to fast maybe 2 days in a row, or how many times it is, I don't know. But I don't know. I will be unconscious, maybe fall down, and then whatever. So in so many ways, he's okay. That's why we have him. So he have to do it and protect us all.
Yeah.
Then we just support him for
But
that.
you know why somebody would do that? Rise early. Why would they do that? Or maybe fast? Do you think, why would they do that?
Well, as you said, you have to have the consciousness and then worship the Lord as you pleased. But
Yeah.
then for me, I don't really understand it, and I don't know how I can do that.
I think we're not worried about you doing it. We're more worried that you understand why Sam is doing it. It's actually an immense amount of pleasure is gained. We're trying to please the Supreme Lord by rising early, perhaps fasting. But when you try to please the Supreme, he bounces it back. He returns the pleasure multifold time. So when we rise early to please the Supreme Lord, actually we're getting more pleasure than the Supreme Lord is getting.
Maybe I haven't tried, so I can never say it.
Otherwise, day in, day out, why would you do it? I mean, we've been fasting now for 23 days. I mean, it's not a fast like nirjal, no water, no nothing. No, we eat certain foods, but we're limiting our foods to, like, we're not eating grains at the moment at all. No rice, no dal, no chapati for the last 22 or 23 days. Now, do I look a little bit starved? No, because this wonderful lady cooks many other different things. Why do we do this? Because there is an immense amount of pleasure, and enjoyment, gives you strength to continue with your practice, and the conviction that, hey, what we are doing, we want to come back to you, my Lord. You haven't thrown us out. We left, and now we're knocking on the door again. Please let us in.
It's like we're taking one step, he's taking 10 steps.
That's right. That's a very nice point. You say it.
No, it's a bit like, you're making that effort. So you're taking that one step towards God, and God reciprocates, and he takes 10 steps towards you. So, you're getting closer to God that way.
And the thing with the Lord is, you can give with your 2 hands, but he's got unlimited hands. When he starts giving you, you think, hang on, I'm not going to handle this. He gives so much.
Because it says, you make the effort, he showers his mercy on you. That's the
But Prabhu, to be honest, we're not doing these things, austerities, because we need something from God. Basically, we're not even doing it to obtain something from God. We just want to do this to develop love for the Lord. That's right. We know that once we develop that love for the Lord, then we're more likely to be connected to him. And once we're connected to the Supreme Home, he's got all the opulences. Once we are attached to him, obviously, it's like when your dad is very, very rich, you've excluded yourself from your dad. But once you attach yourself back to the richness, you're already gaining that richness. But we're not really doing it because, oh, God, give me that, give me that. No, not really.
Absolutely not. In fact, what happens, the relationship is so amazing. God will say, when he came as Nashinga, he said to Prahlad, what would you like? And Prahlad Maharaj said, I don't want anything, my dear Lord. I just want to serve you. No, 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 Prahlad will say, Nrsingadev will, no, I've come to give you. No, no, my dear Lord, I don't want anything at all. No, I have to give you. But my Lord, I don't want anything. And then the Lord starts crying, no, no, look, I cannot repay your love for me. What can I give you? And that's the relationship that the devotee has with the Lord. He doesn't want anything. He just wants to serve. And that's the mood. In terms of the deity worship, we often get asked this question in schools: why do you worship deities or idols, they'll say? And now my answer is, look, do I look stupid to you guys? Right? I'm a university graduate. I'm a CA. I've studied this philosophy and lectured it for the last 10 years to thousands of schools. Do I look stupid? And they say, no. Do you think I would worship idols? No. So let me tell you what we do. We're not stupid. We don't worship idols. But God is everywhere, isn't he? He's present all over. At the moment, we're thinking coronavirus is everywhere. When somebody's walking towards us, we cross the road to avoid them because we're thinking coronavirus is everywhere. Well, actually, God is everywhere. But when somebody says that, they say, no, God is nowhere. God isn't everywhere. But actually, God is everywhere. Coronavirus is nowhere. But we've got the wrong attitude, wrong mentality. We're thinking God is not present. But actually, God is present everywhere, including in forms that are made of him according to our holy books. We haven't manufactured a form and decided, hey, we'll worship this form. No, that's stupidity. That's idol worship. That's ridiculous. But the deity is described in our holy books. Krishna is described. Venam kanantam aravindam dalayatакsham barhavatam samhasitam buddha sundarangam kandapa koti kamanaya vishesha shogam govindamadi purusham tamahamaja. He's described very beautifully, intricately. According to those descriptions, deities are made. And God is present everywhere. Why won't he be in his deity form? So we're not worshipping just any old stone, any old marble, any old brass, metal. We're actually worshipping the Supreme Lord. We invite the Lord to come. He's represented just like a post box. If you put a letter in a post box, it'll reach wherever it's meant to be. But if you put a letter into any old box, it's not going to go anywhere. So the deity is like the post box. It's an authorized representative of the Supreme Lord.
Helps us to visualize.
Helps us to visualize the Lord, helps us to serve the Lord. And the tree, Tulsi, she is actually regarded as one of the pure devotees of the Lord. And that is described in our holy books. The Vedas describes the description of Tulsi, what her qualities are, why she has come to this world in the form of a tree. And we're very, very fortunate because, in fact, forget Tulsi. We should be worshipping trees full stop. Is there anybody who you take the fruit from and you eat it? They bear all this fruit. They don't enjoy any of it. They leave it for everybody else.
Give you shade.
They give you shade when it's hot. And when it's raining, like Edward was enjoying the rain, he was standing under a tree. These trees give you. So we should be worshipping every single tree. Forget about Tulsi. Because the tree is so tolerant. You kick the tree. Does he say anything? The dog comes and vees on the tree. Does the tree say anything? No, it's tolerant. It's so tolerant. You cut the tree. Does it say anything? No. In fact, you can use the tree for so many different things. Worshipable. The tree is serving us. We should be
Gives us oxygen.
Yes, very good. Who said that?
Yeah. Wow.
Kamakshi. Very nice point. So forget about Tulsi. We should be worshiping every single tree that is around.
But Tulsi is special though.
Special, yeah. Tulsi is very, very special. And
And why do we chant? You get up 3 o'clock early in the morning, having your bath, cleaning yourself, and then start murmuring to yourself these words repeatedly. Why do you do that?
yeah. Well, this is our practice. This is to become close to God. And when we chant, it's actually a great pleasure because God has given us this incredible, I mean, we don't deserve it in any way, shape or form, but he's allowing us the great privilege of chanting his holy name. And
He's in his name.
he's present. Yeah, he's present in the deity, but he's also present in his name. He's omnipresent. He's present everywhere. And his name, if we chant his name, he's present. He's there, not just in name, but he's there spiritually, he's there physically, if we're doing it in the right consciousness, of course. So why do we chant? It's to connect with God again. We have severed that relationship. We are responsible for coming away from the Lord. We want to re-establish that relationship. He's waiting for us. He's when we're chanting, he's listening. Is my devotee actually in this conversation with me? Is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
But is he thinking about work? Is he thinking about his dinner? Or is he thinking about me? If he's thinking about me, I'm in that conversation with my devotee. If he's thinking about other things, that's fine. I'll fulfill all those desires of his, but he won't get me. He'll get everything but me.
Okay, another question that my brothers keep asking me. They said, okay, we've come to this world. We don't know what's going to happen to us when we leave this world. We don't care where we came from. Now we are in this world. Let me enjoy this world. Forget about what happened to me next. What would you say to a person like that?
Yeah, see, this is actually the attitude of 99.99% of people, that let's just enjoy now and not worry about the future. But this is the part of the problem. This is the problem, that we've decided to enjoy without God. And unfortunately, there is something called death in this world. Whether we like it or not, it will come. We don't know whether it'll come in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, or tomorrow, or now. There's no guarantee in life. And we want a guarantee. We want a guarantee that we will be happy. That's what we want. And that guarantee at the moment is in the form of material enjoyment. We're trying to enjoy. But in this world, we will just be frustrated at every step, never get that enjoyment. Even whilst we're trying to enjoy, how much food can you eat before the belly says no more? You can't unlimitedly enjoy. Like in school, I say to them, let's connect to Ram by chanting his name, because when Ram is the reservoir of all pleasure. That's what it means. He gives pleasure. He is the source of pleasure. So when we connect with God through his name Ram, then we can tap into that pleasure. Otherwise, in this world, you have to do chores, isn't it? And they all say, yeah. You have to do homework. Yeah. You have to stop playing Xbox. Oh. But in the spiritual world, you can play Xbox all day long. It's called Box. So there is this limited view of enjoyment but how much can we enjoy in this world? It's very, very limited. And as you said to me before we started the class, actually, there is no enjoyment in this world. It's perhaps a little bit less suffering is regarded as enjoyment. Like you go to a dentist with a toothache and he pulls it out and he gives you a little bit of clove oil to give you a little relief. So you put the clove oil on and you think, this is bliss. All it is a little less suffering from that toothache. That's all it is. But actually the toothache will continue afterwards as well. So we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Now,
Well done.
we didn't get a chance to talk to George properly. Edward, because of his connection. Can we meet back in 2 weeks' time, do you think?
Definitely, because it's rather unfortunate I've not been able to sort of
Participate.
ask my questions today. But
let's meet in 2 weeks, if you don't
yeah,
mind.
definitely.
George, you'll be okay for 2 weeks' time?
Yes, well, I'm ever ready. I'm always ready because listen, in Christianity, one thing is very clear. The Bible allows us to test all spirits. You see, the Bible says it very clearly that we are allowed to test all spirits. And one thing is, learning about all the various religions. I think it's one of the most wisest things that one can do for themselves.
Okay.
You see, instead of criticizing or pushing sometimes certain religions to the wall, I don't think that it's nice at all.
Jake,
Because once
Jake,
you've not, yes.
I think we will do it next time in 2 weeks' time because the signal is already.
Yes, my network is.
Yeah, it's so
I know
bad.
it's very bad. It's very. You know what has happened. I mean, it's been
I know.
raining.
It's always
for
like
the past few days
when it rains.
And the network is very bad, very, very, very bad. So, like Prabhu said, we'll do it in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully we'll get a good weather so that we can throw our questions across and get on with it.
I really appreciate George.
But you are lucky. It's cold up here.
Yeah, that's right. It's freezing cold.
Yeah. And it's even worse in Denmark where he is. Very cold.
Oh, wow.
Over here, it's very muddy and nasty. You know it. When it rains in Ghana, it's not good at all. Very bad. Because of the bad road networks. It's very nasty all over. Muddy, and it's not the best. It's not about what can we do?
Why don't we finish with Nashinga prayers, Sam, if you'd like to sing.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank George and Edward. George, especially because the connection was good. And any further questions, please.
No problem at all.
We are so
I'll
grateful to you,
ask questions if I have to.
And all the other devotees.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, go for it, Sam.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada la dadayine.
Prahlada la dadayine.
Hiranyakashipu vakshaha.
Hiranyakashipu vakshaha.
Silatanka nakalaye.
Silatanka nakalaye.
Ito Nazrimho Parato Nazrimho.
Ito Nasingho Parato Nasingho.
Yato ya mitato Nazrimho.
Yato ya mitato Nasingho.
Baye Nazrimho, Hridaye Nazrimho.
Nasingho, Hridaye Nasingho.
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Praprade.
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Praprade.
Tabakara Kamalavare Nakam Abuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tano Bringam Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadesha Hare Jayo Jagadesha Hare Jayo Jagadesha Hare
Tabakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Sringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanuvringa Keshavadeta Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jayo Jagadish Hare Jayo Jagadish Hare
Keshavadita
Narahari Rupa
Jai Jagadish
Jagadish
Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
Hare
Jai Jagadish Hare
Jaya ho Narsinga Dev Jayo Narsinga Dev Jayo Narsinga Dev Jayo Narsinga Dev
Jana Singhadev, Nasinghadev, Nasinghadev, Jayana Singhadev.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj.
Jayo Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada
Jaya Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Jayo, Jayo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gora Haribo. Jai Narasinghadev Bhagwan Ki, Prahlad Maharaj Ki, Sri Prabhupada Ki, Gora Premaninde, Hari Haribo.
Sam and his brothers Ki Jai. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Haribo.
I've got a children's program starting in 5 minutes. So I
Oh, amazing.
thank you
Thank
very
you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you, all
Thank
devotees,
you.
for joining.
Everybody,
And
yeah.
I mean, like putting up with us. All glories to your lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hari, Hari.
Thank you very much. Very good. Very good.
Okay.
Haribo.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I guess.